I'm Philathia Bolton, the Inaugural Toni Morrison Senior Fellow here at the Africa Institute, and I'm also the Associate Professor of English at the University of Akron. I work on 20th and 21st century African American literature, and my experience in diasporic studies often involves what I do with the Harlem Renaissance and other writers of African descent who have diasporic connections. The focus of my research at the Africa Institute has been on Toni Morrison. I have been looking at the ways in which she has connected to other canonical writers of African American descent in the U.S. But also I have been interested in the ways in which people have read and thought about Toni Morrison on the continent of Africa. And so while I have been here, I have been thinking about how my colleagues in particular have discovered Toni Morrison, how they've read her and have been inspired by her, and have attempted some comparative analysis to think of the ways in which her resonance from the continent of Africa among different kinds of readers looks similarly and also differently to what we see happening among readers in the U.S. The fellowship here at the Africa Institute has supported my research because it has given me the time to focus on writing and research. This is something not to be minimized because often professors have to divide their time between teaching, service, and research. Here, I have had designated time just to focus on reading and working on my writing projects. I've also had time to collaborate with people who have shared interests with me and could contribute to ways in which I'm thinking about Toni Morrison. For example, when I gave my opening lecture here on Toni Morrison, one of the things that I wanted to argue was that she helps to create a culturally vernacular space for engaging with storytelling. And what I didn't realize at the time was that there was some tension around the term of vernacular, especially when you migrate from thinking about it in the African American context and then thinking about it in the context among people who have colonized pasts. And so being here at the Africa Institute has given me the time, but it has also given me access to people who have these very rich, diverse perspectives on the kinds of questions and subject matter I'm tackling. Key takeaways and highlights for me as a result of my being here at the Africa Institute really involve some of the more organic kind of moments that happen, these unplanned exchanges that you have with the people that you are sharing this experience with. There are two that I can reflect on in particular. One involves a conversation that happened after one of our lectures that are scheduled across our time here at the African Institute. And it involved just thinking about the ways in which people have, again, encountered and read Toni Morrison. And what I discovered is that a lot of these people did so just out of curiosity and their desire to want to learn about this writer. She wasn't assigned in their classes. This wasn't necessarily the result of some type of assignment that was given at the collegiate level. It was just out of curiosity or a desire to connect with African American writers. And so based on these conversations in the corridor, in the pantry when we were going to get coffee, I decided that I wanted to try to formalize such conversations in writing. And now, based on these kinds of discoveries, just due to the excitement of people wanting to share with me their experience learning about and reading Toni Morrison, I've included it in the book that I'm working on right now. Another one involves I think he's 72 years old. He discovered Toni Morrison for the first time since I've been here at the Africa Institute. And he tapped me on the shoulder when the both of us were waiting to listen to Alma Taka perform for Whispers of the Soul. And he was enamored, his face lit up, and he had just completed his reading of Beloved. And it was in part a result of how excited he was after having experienced the inauguration of the fellowship. And so these are some key takeaways, just the excitement of seeing some people discover Toni Morrison and the small small role that I might have played in their discovering such a phenomenal writer. Since I've been at the Africa Institute, I've also engaged with other organizations and institutions in the region. In particular, I have really enjoyed some of the things that the Sharjah Art Foundation have sponsored. As many of us know, there's a really close connection and tie between the Africa Institute and the Sharjah Art Foundation. And the art exhibitions in particular have been ones that I have really enjoyed participating in and getting exposed to. For others who are considering this fellowship or any other fellowship here at the Africa Institute, I would just tell them to go into such an experience with an open mind and just a spirit of immense gratitude for what a residency fellowship like this can afford. You will have time to immerse yourself in a community where you will get to experience connections with colleagues from different parts of the world, and you will have an office where you can have like quiet time to write and work on your publications. And then also, just for me, this is, I guess, maybe a bit of a personal kind of thing. Sometimes just the distance away from wherever you live, the physical distance away from where you live, the emotional distance, the psychological distance, picking up and moving somewhere can give you the time to really meander, to think, to let your mind really lock in on what is in front of you without being distracted by the everyday monotony and the wear and the tear of what is your normal life in your ordinary context. And so if you go into such an experience thinking about the way in which it's engineered to help you have such a space like that, the sky is the limit, I think, in terms of what you can get out of such of an experience. I also would say, which is kind of tangentially related, is the open-mindedness connects to what you can get in the corridor, what you can get in the pantry, or what you can get sitting in your seat when someone taps you on your shoulder and you're waiting for like the orchestra to start playing. If you always are looking for a moment of a spark or a connection, you know, that can make its way into a more formalized research project that you're working on. And so I encourage anyone to take advantage of such an opportunity. Just keep your mind and your heart open for such a thing, and see where inspiration will find you.